Hi, I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Cindy.
And we're here with another feeding frenzy for the 40-day prosperity plan. And we're on day 39. Can you believe it? 39.
39, almost done.
Wow.
Okay. When I am aware of the God self within me as my total fulfillment, I am totally fulfilled. I am now aware of this truth. I have found the secret of life, and I relax in the knowledge that the activity of divine abundance is eternally operating in my life. I simply have to be aware of the flow, the radiation of that creative energy, which is continuously, easily, and effortlessly pouring forth from my divine consciousness. I am now aware, I am now in the flow.
So do you feel part of the flow?
Oh, I'm struggling with that a little bit today, only because it's the first of the month and bills are hanging over my head. But yeah, I do. I really do. I mean, you and I talked yesterday, and we get to this point quite often, and just, I guess, reveal a little bit more than we may be comfortable with. But when it gets the first of the month, it seems like every month we're like, okay, is it time to go get a 40-hour-a-week job? You know, and then more and more I'm getting reminded, okay, that's out of fear. And that fear is never in flow. You know? Does that mean, now, I say that, but if I were feeling led to go get a 40-hour-a-week job,
I was just getting ready to say, if you're feeling led to, that's different.
That's different. I'm not feeling led to, except when I'm in fear. And so I know that's an act of fear. And I think, I don't know how this works, but it seems like every time I make a decision, a real decision to figure this out or to do something, whatever it is, when I set a goal to do something, there's always what you call the second force or a testing or whatever you want to call it. But it's always there to say, are you really sure about this? You know?
How serious are you?
How serious are you? And I feel like it's a way for me, I think it's a way for the universe to say, okay, are you really sure about this? Because you've got this fear and this fear and this fear, and you've got to work through those before you can really get there. Are you willing to work through those fears so that you can get there? Because to get there, you got to change me. I've got to change me. And to change me, I've got to work through those fears. So I feel like every time we make one of those decisions, we better be darn sure we want it, because we're going to be faced with those fears that,
absolutely,
that are going to get us there.
Well, you know what came to mind when you were saying that? What popped into my head was a boat, you know, sitting in a boat. And let's say we've got all the weight on one side of the boat, and we notice the water's coming in. Well, if we're going to make a change in the weight of that boat, we're going to have to move the boat some, you know? And so it feels like when we make that decision and we start to move the weight in our life from one side to another, well, we're going to notice the motion of that movement.
That's a good point.
Do you know what I'm saying? And yes, there's fear in that movement. But if we know, okay, as soon as I make a movement, there's going to be a counter movement to it.
Oh, that's a good point.
Do you see what I'm saying? You can't make a movement and there not be a counter movement.
And the thing that illustration points out for me is usually when we make a move like that, we make a decision, we get so gung-ho that we move too fast, too far. And if we move too fast, too far in that boat, we're going to tip it the other way.
To the other way.
And it's got to have a balance.
And it's got to have a balance, exactly.
And you can't go from being who I am today to being what I want to be out there. There's a path
in one day.
In one day you can't do that. So you have to take the first step.
Well, exactly.
And you have to do the next logical step. You can't just go from being who I am today to being a multimillionaire, because I wouldn't know what to do with that money. I would lose it. And that's why so many people who win a lot of money lose it, because they don't know how to handle money.
Right.
If I knew how to handle the money I have now, then I'll get to where I want to be eventually. So it's that first logical step. And I think the first logical step for me is to learn how to manage what I have now. And until I can do that, you know, it says even in the Bible, until we can manage the little things, we're not going to get the big things.
Right.
So it doesn't say it like that, I'm paraphrasing.
Right.
But we have to learn how to deal with what we have now before we can get to where we want to be, and we have to take the next logical step. For us, the next logical step is making the videos. Because that helps us. I think it's helped us tremendously.
Oh, tremendously.
To stay focused on it and to commit to it.
And stay committed to it.
And stay committed, because it's a lot easier when you don't have a camera on you to just say, oh, let's skip it today.
Let's skip it today.
You know, it's a lot easier when we've made a commitment and there are people out there depending on us to
Waiting
get this
on
done. So for me, I think we have to take that next logical step.
Well, we do have to take the next logical step. And, you know, I was doing that 40-hour week in a job I couldn't stand, but it wasn't like I just decided one day, okay, that's it, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to go follow my dream. I had to make the next logical step, and there was a progression in that. And I spent probably a year in transition before I actually made the move.
Right.
It was not like I just jumped off the diving board and said, okay, God, here I am, you're going to have to catch me.
Right.
I had to take the next logical step. And within that year, I grew into my passion. Because I had to figure out exactly what my passion is and how am I going to use this in order to, you know, grow me as well.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Wow.
So I think you're right. I think, especially like you said, first of the month when we're looking at things and we're really looking at the real little our reality. We're really watching the water come in the boat.
Right.
That we're noticing, should we
Bail out.
bail out here? You know? And
Jump ship.
I think this helps us understand, no, we just got to rebalance the boat. You don't necessarily have to jump out, but we just got to rebalance it. But we also have to, I keep reminding myself that anytime we make a movement, there's always a counter movement. So I would call that the second force or the testing or whatever you're calling it. I would just see that as, okay, that's the counter movement coming. I've made a move and the universe moves back, okay? So that helps me with my panic too, knowing that, okay, I've just made a move here and now I'm going to wait because it's coming.
Right.
And then once I know it's coming, that's okay, it's going to balance out again.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So that's really helped me.
Now, today I'd like to propose, instead of reading it with good and joy, we still have a discussion that we had with Cece on good and joy that I just, well, good more than joy. But I would love to just cut this one off here and then just put in,
Oh, that'd be good.
put in Cece's, you know, discussion about good.
Yeah.
For today.
I like the word God.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
But to me, I've come to think of God as good.
Oh,
know,
that's a good one too.
Good is just God with an extra O.
I like that.
And
We'll
you
try
know,
that
I
one
like
too.
the extras.
Yeah. Okay, we'll try good first.
Good.
Good is lavish, unfailing good, the rich, omnipresent substance of the good. This all-providing good of infinite prosperity is individualized as me, the good of me. That's good.
That was it.
That was good.
Good. Yeah. But I like good in there. That gives it a whole new perspective for me.
In what way?
Just looking at God as good, you know, just seeing God is all good. All good comes from God. So that changes it. So.
Well, if you take that to the level where good is me,
Yeah,
you
That's
know,
exactly what I was going to say.
it's very difficult sometimes to perceive ourselves as good because we've been raised in a culture that goes bad girl, you know, bad boy, naughty, shame, those kind of things. So even though we may have in our spiritual path grown past that, there's still that subliminal connotation.
Right.
And the tendency to judge ourselves.
Right.
And we judge events in our lives. We put a label, good or bad. This was a good day, bad day. Good weather, bad weather. Good dog, bad dog, you know. And so if we see ourselves in the image of God, and we see God as good and only good, and then we use that word as a substitute, and what was that? Read it again. The first.
Good is lavish, unfailing good. I'm replacing the capitals. The rich, omnipresent substance of the good.
Yes, in me.
Uh-huh.
I think, yeah.
As me. Yeah, the
As
all-providing
me, okay.
source of infinite prosperity is individualized as me, the good of me.
Okay, see,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother layer,
Yeah, it
another
is.
texture of it.
It is.
It's easier for me to picture me as love than me as good.
Ooh.
Really?
Now,
Wow. Where does that come
what a
from?
contradiction that is. I don't know. It absolutely, I don't know. When you replaced it with good, I had stuff bubble up.
Really?
You know? It was easier for me to say love as me. Okay, I can see that because I, you know, can see myself giving the love, but seeing myself give myself credit for being good, that one was a little harder for me.
That's
Oh,
interesting.
I have to look at that.
You have to look at
Yeah,
that
so
one.
maybe there's an opportunity to see yourself without judgment. You know.
Yeah, we've talked before about trying to take the judgment out of everything. That's hard to do.
Good luck on that.
Yeah, that's really hard to
in
do.
our culture and our mentality, I think that collective consciousness of the race, and I don't mean ethnically, I mean the human race.
The human race.
That collective consciousness where we have been evaluated and compared for so long. And you know, the shift of consciousness now is not into comparison and competition, but into cooperation and cohesiveness. And if we could see ourselves as God sees us, if we could see ourselves as our dog sees us, you know, God is also dog spelled backwards. And you know, your dog thinks you're good no matter how you acted when you left, no matter what your mood was. Yeah, your dog thinks you're good. You provide the food, you give them a place to eat and sleep, you love on them. You are perpetual good to your dog. So
They don't see your faults.
no, they don't. So if we could see ourselves as God sees us and as our dog sees us, you're the source of good, the constant provider of all that is needed. Infinite Alpo.
If we could just be as good as they see us. Yeah.
But we are.
Yeah.
That's the thing. When you take this statement in and you see God or good as me realized in the world, there's no room for when I perform a certain way or when I act like this or if I do this. That's how we show up and how God sees us and how the universe is waiting to see us. I think it's just our labels of ourselves that makes us behave differently.
Yeah.
The inhibition around that.
Isn't it amazing how hard we fight against other people labeling us? But I'm so ready to label myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, someone else call me a name, and I'm immediate on it. And I'm ready to stand up for myself. But I do it haphazardly throughout the day.
And we don't even realize we're doing it.
Right.
It's all that negative self-talk we got going up there. We don't even...
Yeah, the monkey mind.
We've lived with it for so long today.
Any other thoughts, Stacey?
I just think, more than think, I think it's important to feel. You know, I find myself when people say, well, how do you feel about that? Lots of times I say what I think because I feel safer saying that. But I think feeling this is at a whole nother level of that. So you say, what do I think? I can tell you what I think. I think this is good. I think it's inspiring. How do I feel?
How do you feel?
I also have the opportunity to look a little deeper at myself and see if I really perceive myself as good, as God the good manifesting in the world.
Yeah.
You know, I can see that about you. You're good. You're great. For me, I'm full of faults and holes and stuff.
Why do we do that? Why is it so hard to...
Because I think if we recognized the good in us and the power that we have in that, we could rock the world. We could really change.
So do you think it's more of a fear of our own power?
Absolutely. You know, Nelson Mandela got the credit for it, but I think it was Marianne Williamson that actually said, our greatest fear is not of our greatness, but it's of our smallness, but it's of our greatness, of how powerful we all are. And I know myself, I've behaved in a small manner many times to make somebody feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just play it down, go easy, tread softly. And that's, I'm sure it has its merits, but that's part of how we get to not feeling good about us. You know, I have a degree in psychology and I work as a counselor, and that is one of the huge recurring themes is self-esteem and based on self-image. We don't feel good about ourselves, so we don't put ourselves out there, and we respond differently than we're capable of because we have this label on it of us as not being good enough. That's a recurring theme.
Wow.
What is enough? And if
Who's
God
to say
is,
what it is, you know?
well, if God is infinite, unfailing, omnipotent, ever abundant supply, and we are created in that image, and we are showing up, as this statement says, as that good.
That's right. That's right.
Then who's to put a limit on us? You know, I think it's one of the most effective ways that our ego keeps us from being powerful and present in the God force in the world.
And being authentic.
Right?
Wow. But we're no longer playing small, right?
Not this year.
No, this year we're going big, right?
Big time.
Yeah.
All right.
That's good stuff.
Good stuff.
Boy, that was good stuff.
That was really good stuff.
Shreen.